chair lays out House Bill 1110, sponsored by Senator Birdwell. Senator Birdwell, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. HB 1110 provides for the process by which Texas will select its delegates to a convention of the states in the event one is called now or in the future. I would ask affirmative consideration, and I'm subject to your questions.
Do you have a committee substitute or not?
Yes, ma'am, I do. I mentioned it, but may I send up the committee substitute?
Yes, Senator Birdwell sends up the committee substitute to HJR 77, and we'll have to wait. HB 1110. Are there any questions of Senator Birdwell?
Yes.
Senator Estes, you're recognized.
Senator Birdwell, my question is, would you like to hear what I have to say about this?
No.
He didn't ask you.
We may disagree, but I would never tell a senator that I don't want to hear from them.
You're a dear friend and colleague. Thank you.
You are too, as well, Senator.
May I make a
Estes.
statement?
You, of course,
Absolutely.
recognized for a statement.
Thank you. My statement is for both the bill and the HJR. Members, I think it is very ironic that today, on Memorial Day, we are discussing this bill in committee. This is a day to remember our service members who have given the ultimate sacrifice in defense of our country, whether in battle, in support of combat operations, or having died in the line of duty just doing their jobs, protecting our nation and all that it stands for, which includes our U.S. Constitution and the amendments contained therein. What I think we're doing here is advocating that we erase and alter all which they have died for. Now, I know that sounds strong, but I understand that there are people out here that are upset with the federal government. I think many of us are, in the failure to adhere to the Constitution and constitutional amendments. And let me just explain to you, these new and better ideas are not new and better. This is what this is like. This is like a petulant teenager who's lost a few basketball games that plans to burn down the gymnasium. This is like a person that has found rats in their house and decides to solve the problem with dynamite. And I know where this is coming from, because I listen to this guy all the time. It's a radio announcer on conservative radio. I've read the book. And let me tell you something, he's just plain wrong. I want to ask you something. Do you think there's anyone here today that can improve upon the work of Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin, John Adams, and James Monroe? And let me ask you one other question. Those of you that advocate for this, how do you plan to lose Nancy Pelosi and Harry Reid's invitation in the mail? The whole thing hinges on one salient point, and that is, can these delegates, once they're cloistered, be controlled? Senator Birdwell, the answer by many legal scholars, much brighter than I, is no. There is no control. The Constitution has served us well for over 200 years. The problem is not the Constitution. The problem is the judges that refuse to follow it. Drafting another version is not a good idea at this point. Justice Scalia, the most conservative justice on the U.S. Supreme Court, recently, less than a month ago, said this was a horrible idea. It's the wrong century to do this. We need more conservatives in office. Slap a bumper sticker for Ted Cruz on your car and get after it. Knock yourself out. Okay? I just want to add one thing. If this bill comes to the floor, I most likely will filibuster and bring everything else down with it. That is how dangerous I think this is. Members, I'm glad we're having this hearing. I wish I had another 100 tags to tag this bill, because it's wrong and it could endanger our Constitution and the country we love. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Estes.
Other than that, it's a pretty good bill.
Madam Chair.
Oh, you are, sure, you're recognized.
Thank
Court,
you.
I'm going to recognize you on HJR 77, and then I'll open public testimony on both at the same time, because many of the witnesses are the same. I think that will be a more efficient process, so you're recognized on HJR 77.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and that certainly is a great way to have this debate, because after the framers of both sides of the debate have started, I just want to go back and say what HJR 77 does. We're applying to Congress of the United States to call for a convention under Article 5 of the United States Constitution for the limited purpose of proposing one or more amendments to the Constitution to impose fiscal restraints on the federal government, to limit the power and jurisdiction of federal government, and limit the terms and office of federal officials and members of Congress. Thank you, Madam Chairman. Be happy to answer any questions.
Madam Chair.
Senator Estes, you're recognized.
I don't want there to be any misconstrued motives here. I have to go lay out 3 bills in another committee, and we'll
Okay.
be back as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Estes.
Thank you, Senator Bettencourt. That was well done.
Thank you.
All right, we will open public testimony on House Bill 1110 and HJR 77. And